Coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time. Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
Hello, Fremont. You're listening to episode number 44 of the Fremont Podcast. I am super thrilled to have with me today on this episode a father and son who are actually magicians, and probably more than magicians. James.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Very good. And you?
Doing well. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
How old are you, James?
14 years old.
14 years old. Okay. Are you from Fremont? Were you born here?
I feel like I was raised here. Can't really remember. But I think I might have been born in another city.
You're not really sure. Okay, but do you live in Fremont now?
Lived and raised in Fremont.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the things that you enjoy about living in Fremont? Like, what are some of the places that you like to go?
Costco. Because they give out free samples. Okay, look.
Okay, so Costco is one of your favorite places. What else do you like about what else do you like in Fremont?
What else do I like in Fremont? All of the ice cream shops.
Okay. Do you have a favorite?
I'm honestly not sure. Milk Cow is really good. But
that is a good one.
There's what was it? There's another frozen custard and ice place.
Okay. Nice.
I can't remember. Rita's.
Oh yeah. They've got some
Rita's custard.
great. Yeah, that's
amazing.
Good. When did you start doing doing magic? When did you start getting into juggling? Do you remember you have your earliest memory of doing magic or juggling?
Okay. Yes, I remember I started learning juggling at around the age of 4. I absolutely hated it. No, so
did you start with juggling just balls?
I started with juggling. Dad taught me to juggle.
Okay.
But the thing is that he approached it as a chore. So he'd be like, James, do your juggling. And I'd be like, why? Because you need to do it. Why? Because I told you so. Why? Just don't listen to me, young man.
I will say this, that it sounds to me like you got a great opportunity to learn a discipline that's actually paid off now, right? Because it was 10 years ago. You literally can say, I started 10 years ago and you're only 14 years old. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Dad probably could have used a little bit of reverse psychology back then, but it all changed when I was 5 years old.
Oh, so it took a year
5
to
or 6,
figure it out. Okay.
Because my dad took me out to the streets of San Francisco, and he was like, okay, you're going to do your practice here on the streets, and you're going to perform for these people. And I was like, you know what? Performing for people feels good. And that was really the thing that
was the thing that you're like,
mind.
oh, wait a minute. I'm not just doing this because Dad wants me to do it, because people actually like this.
Exactly.
That's
also
awesome.
because they tipped me, but that's besides the point. He just put a hat in front of me, and I was like, Daddy, they're
cool.
putting money into the hat. And he's like, yeah, that's because they like what you do. Do you like what you do? And I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome. That's really... Now he does. That's right. So James, so that was when you started juggling. Did you do that before magic?
Yes, juggling came before magic after I learned a good amount of juggling. Then Dad was like, okay, you can learn magic too.
Okay. I've watched your videos. You're pretty amazing. When did you start doing magic, and at what point did you feel really confident about being able to do it in front of people?
I think I started doing magic at around 5 or 6. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was not long after juggling.
Yep.
And performing juggling, Dad just said, you know what? Do magic. And I was like, okay, sure. And then I don't know, performing magic just seems it feels so good. Yeah. Just watching the joy on someone's face as they see you juggling or doing magic.
That's awesome. I think it's an amazing perspective that you have, because I think that a lot of times people do things for themselves, and I think that can get really tiresome. It really drives them the wrong way. But I love the fact that you are interested in the way that people experience happiness, experience those moments, and you get the opportunity of being able to bring those moments into their life, which I think is really, really awesome. What are some of your favorite experiences doing your juggling, doing your magic? What are some of your memories that you have now that you've grown up a little bit? Have you been in any competitions, or have you been in any shows, or anything particular that stands out to you?
I've been to how many hundreds of shows?
Whoa, are you kidding me?
I don't even keep track at this point. But I've done enough shows to the point where I can't even count them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably done more than his fair shares of shows. When he started, he was just doing maybe like 3 to 5 minutes in my show of juggling. So
Okay.
he would build up confidence doing just a short segment, and he would see me do my tricks. And then maybe a couple years ago, I was like, he can do half the show. Why don't we just give him his whole entire show?
Yeah.
During the pandemic, we did 520 virtual shows since March of
Wait a
2020.
minute. 520.
Over 500.
Over 500. How is that even
I
possible?
didn't do all of those.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He did
I didn't
actually,
do those by myself.
Yeah. How is that possible? Explain to me how this works.
Well, so we started realizing the scalability in Zoom because we do shows on the East Coast and we would do shows for people in Dubai and South Africa. We would wake up at 5 a.m. So during that time, he's been homeschooled. 90% of the shows I did while I was on Zoom, he was actually doing at least 3 to 5 minutes in every show. Come on over, do your show. And then he'd go right back to school because he's homeschooled during the pandemic.
Right.
And so for sure, during the last 3 years since March of 2020, he's probably done, I'm conservatively estimating 750 shows
Wow.
because he's also done live shows as well. And every weekend he might do 1 or 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and then maybe 1 during the week.
Wow.
So
That's phenomenal.
it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
crazy.
so sad that I have to go back to like regular in-person school because he's like, I can't pull him out of school anymore. It's too
Right.
hard now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So okay, so that is an amazing number of shows. That experience alone is just phenomenal. Do you have any experience of doing a show, doing a competition or something like that that just stands out to you to be your favorite?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I think though my absolute favorite all time would be performing for Draymond Green or his son's first birthday party.
Oh, are you kidding me?
That was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. I got to meet Sean Livingston.
Wow.
I got to meet Zaza Pachulia. I did not get to see Stephen Curry or Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant, but you know what? I'll take it. Okay,
There you go.
I'll take
There
it.
you go. That's awesome. Wow. So Draymond Green's his son's first birthday. That is amazing. Wow. You talked about going back to in-person school or like not homeschooling anymore. Do you ever do tricks or anything at school while you're at school, or is it kind of like you have your juggling and magic time and then you just kind of have your normal school?
I did a few today.
Did you do a few?
Yes, I did a few.
What'd you do today?
Some kids were like, "Hey, you want to be in an interview?" And I said, "Okay, sure." I think it was
You
for
already
fun,
did an interview today?
like for a fun school project.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I was like, "Okay."
That's
Sure.
awesome. And so you did some tricks today, or you did some juggling, or what'd you do?
Just a few magic tricks. I
Okay.
did a little bit of juggling in class because our PE teacher had these tennis balls.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. He's like, you want to play catch? And then I was like, no, I can do it by myself.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let me ask you this: if I were to get on Google right now and Google your name, James Chan magician, what would be the thing that I discover when it pops up? Like, what would be the main thing that comes up?
You would discover another guy named James Chan. But after that,
You've done this before, I can tell.
you will find the only 14-year-old magician
Uh-huh.
that lives in Fremont.
Okay.
There's tons
okay.
of other
You
14-year-old
know what's
magicians.
funny about that? I want to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
interrupt
please,
you
yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
We went on his IMDb, and he was recently on Me Time with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg. And it just launched August 26th. So at
Wow.
midnight, I literally watched it while I was on my gig with about to perform for Elon Musk that weekend. This weekend I
Wow.
performed for Elon. But the funny thing is, it's a show that I cannot recommend to anyone to watch because it's rated R, and I don't think I would let my own son watch it. So be careful.
Yeah.
You can skip to the part where James is doing the talent show, which
Okay,
is
okay.
I think 20 minutes.
So this is a
Close to the
movie.
end.
Hold on, wait,
Yes.
hold on.
So
First
this
of all,
is a
wait,
movie.
stop.
Yeah. Yes.
You memorize the exact timestamp.
Well, you
kind
kinda have to.
This
Like, you
is
kinda
taking
have to.
helicopter parenting to an entirely new level.
I put it
okay?
in the MailChimp thing because I
That's
didn't
right.
watch. I didn't want other people to
Yeah,
watch the full
yeah.
movie, especially if I can't recommend it.
So you were in a movie then. That's pretty awesome.
for a 5-second clip, but yeah, I'll take it.
That's right.
They
That's great.
robbed him of his 15 seconds of fame. I think
Yes.
I counted the seconds, and I think he came close to being 10 seconds shorted.
So let me ask you this. What did that entail for you? Like, did they come up here to film, or where was that filmed, and what all was that experience like?
That was filmed in LA, maybe Hollywood.
It wasn't a one-take thing, and I want to kind of elaborate on the storytelling of this because so many things have happened since. I remember getting this thing from the Magic Castle, which was a membership society James is a part of. He's a junior member of the Magic Castle.
Okay.
So it's saying, hey, there's going to be a Netflix movie coming out. Does anyone want to try? So I submitted all the stuff and went through the interviews. And I think we might have done a Zoom interview, and they were all sold on him. And we were going to make birds appear or juggle fire. But it ended up birds not getting cleared and doing all this stuff. We go into Hollywood, and they actually have these trailers for us. And I remember during that time, we had to do COVID tests and stuff like that. So he had his own trailer, which was kind of cool because we took pictures in the trailer. They said we were going to go on around maybe like 12 or 1 p.m. We're waiting all day. It's coming to 5 or 6 p.m. at night. And they're saying we might have you the next day and pay you a fee. And we're like, I have to go back because I think I had a show the next day in the Bay Area. And at this time, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're not going to even make it. They're not even going to want to have a scene. And the funny thing is we saw one clip of them doing it, and I remember seeing that clip filmed like 7 to 10 times of this kid trying to play the piano.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I am so glad I have a movie star on my podcast, so that should boost my ratings quite a bit.
5-second movie star.
5-second movies. Well, you have an IMBD, whatever it is, and I don't. So I mean, that's pretty cool. What are some things as you look forward into your future and you think about the things that you would like to do, some of the things that you imagine doing as a juggler or magician? What would that be like? What are some of the things that you dream of doing?
Becoming a politician. Part of me kind of wants to do
that.
I don't know. I just have this interest in political science, maybe a little bit of economics and business, but still.
That's cool. I like that. I like that.
Yes, and besides, I already know how to lie. I'm a magician.
At least you're honest.
Yeah,
you're an honest liar, so that's good.
That's
good.
I can make money just disappear. I'm definitely going to continue doing magic. It might not be as a complete full-time job, just because. I mean,
I'm sure it's hard. It can be hard.
Well, the thing is that when you're a family of magicians, all 4 of us in the family are disappointments to grandma. So it's above cloud, but it's still not a doctor level. Okay?
It's pretty awesome.
I mean,
it is pretty awesome.
It's a fun job, but then again.
We'll be right back with the rest of the conversation in just a moment. Here is a quick conversation that I had with a customer at Dale Hardware. All right, you can hop on that one right there. Yeah, what's your name?
Hi there, I'm Nikita.
Okay. And do you live in Fremont?
I do live in Fremont.
How long have you been living in Fremont?
Wow, 18 years.
Okay, wow, that's awesome. And what are the things that you love about Fremont? Do you have anything special that stands out to you?
Well, number one, the weather.
Oh, absolutely.
I am originally from Stockton, where it's incredibly hot.
Yes.
So this is such an upgrade.
Oh yeah, very much so. So you're at Dale Hardware today.
Correct.
And what did you guys come in for? What did you guys get?
Oh, we just came to pick up some parts for a drawer repair.
Okay. And have you guys been shopping at Dale for a long time?
Yes, we have. We often come here for anything that is broken and needs to be fixed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was there anything specific that brought you out today, or was it just the part? Did you know there was an event going on?
We did not know there was an event going on, but we are very happy to be here and see everyone out and about and happy and living life.
That's awesome. Well, Dale Hardware is such a great place for you to find the things that you need when you're working on home projects. It's also a great place to find advice and help, to know exactly how to use the products that you're buying, to use the tools that you're using, and to know exactly what you're doing. Make sure you're doing the things the right way. And so Dale Hardware offers great customer service. And along with that, as you heard in this conversation, there are great events that are happening all the time at Dale Hardware, and there are really great events happening all around the community. Maybe you're living in the community and you're listening and you haven't quite settled in, but you are interested in buying a home. Well, I would suggest reaching out to Petrocelli Homes. Petrocelli Homes have been in our community for decades, and they can help you find the home that you need. If you are interested in buying a home and settling down in Fremont, Petrocelli Homes treat you like family, and they would be a perfect pick for you to have as your realtor right here in Fremont. And maybe you've lived in Fremont for a while. You want to upgrade or you do need to sell your home. You can reach out to them as well. They can help you sell your home. They are Fremont's hometown realtors, and I highly recommend reaching out to them. Now, back to our conversation. There's the small sleight of hands, on the table sort of tricks, and then there's the big illusions. Which ones do you do the most, and which ones do you enjoy doing the most?
I like the small sleight of hand ones. Personal preference. And besides the smaller things, you can get to know your audience a lot better.
I like that.
Yeah, you can get to communicate with your audience a lot more, which I really like.
All right, so let's talk to Dad for a little bit. Dad, are you from Fremont originally? Where did you start your life?
I started off in San Francisco.
And then when did you move from San Francisco out to Fremont?
So from Lowell, I went to UC Riverside, and during that time, I learned how to lifeguard and scuba dive, and I worked at all these summer camps. But when I came back, I kind of had my foot in two worlds because I lived at home, which I kind of like, when you're graduated, you don't want to live at home. So I did a lot of traveling, going to Vegas and conventions. So I'd go to magic and juggling conventions just to stay away from home.
So at which point did you start becoming interested in juggling and magic then? Because you were at Riverside. Was it before that, before you left for Riverside, or was it during that time when you were away?
I could juggle very basic stuff because I saw my cousin do it. And I don't remember how old I was. In college, there was this guy named Mike and Robert Chang. And Mike and Robert Chang would be the presidents of this club, the juggling club at UC Riverside. It was more of a distraction so that I didn't have to go do real work or study. So I used it as more like, instead of partying and drinking, I just went juggling.
That's awesome.
I had magic books when I was a kid, but honestly, I wouldn't call myself a magician that time. It's like seeing a guy do magic, but then you don't think it's possible. You buy a book and then you're like, oh, that's how it works. That can't fool anyone. But then when you see a live magician fool you with it and then you learn how it works and you're like, oh, let me try it. That's kind of different. Yeah. And then when you start getting paid to do something and the money comes in, you're like, oh, it's not an empty pit. I can make money. So you start reinvesting and you start getting serious. And you're like, oh, I made $100. Let me throw back 50 like a compulsive gambler. You're like, let's double down. Let's put all the money back in there. And my mom would be like, that's good enough. You're good enough. You don't need to learn the next. Don't spend that much money. And I was like an addict. I was just investing.
You still are. Tell me exactly how many dollars did you spend just recently in order for the PayPal illusion?
I spent a ton of money on this illusion. Actually, my client was supposed to. Okay. Well, in any case, it was an insane amount of money just to get this going. But I feel like when you have that new trick, it might be the tipping point where you can do something on television or book a big gig, which I did, young man. So this last weekend, I performed for Elon Musk and Peter Thiel.
Wow. So what you're saying is that you spent a lot of time just trying to get by doing magic, kind of as a side gig. You probably spent time in some other field working, and then now you've become, I dare say, a world-renowned magician, because I think when I Googled you, when I tried to figure out exactly who you were, it came up as a world-renowned magician, which is pretty amazing.
The power of good marketing and doing the marketing yourself. If you just Google BuzzFeed, Silicon Valley's favorite magician, you'll read a profile piece that put me on the international map. And that was the transition where I was like, I'm not going to do kids parties anymore. I'm just going to do high-profile kids parties where they're paying like insane amount of money.
Yeah. What are some of the things along the way between 2016 and now that kind of propelled you to where you are now? What are some of the other things that came along the way?
I was just kind of coasting until the pandemic hit. I was like small TV segments, ABC 7 News, and like some small things. I was just pitching, Tri-City Voice. I think we've been featured on the Tri-City Voice 4 times.
Okay.
At that time, when I worked at PayPal, I was still doing magic, but I wasn't like really hustling really hard at it. And I told them on my resume, oh, I do magic as a side hustle. They do the interview. I think really soon into the interview, the guy's like, oh, so you do magic? I don't want to impose, but could you show us a trick? Like really sheepishly. And I was like, yes.
So let me ask you this: as you mentioned something a little bit earlier, but if you were to talking to somebody, maybe who's an entrepreneur, maybe in the show business or in show business, what is maybe one big lesson that you have learned over the years, going from working at PayPal, working in the tech industry, to now becoming more of a showman and really building a whole business around your showmanship? Is there anything that you could give to somebody who's maybe in a position like that would be a help or of interest to helping them further along?
Yeah, the secret to success is focus, and the secret of focus is saying no.
I like that. I have a hard time saying no. So I think that that's something that I could certainly I could put to use right away. So Dan, let me ask you this. What are you involved with right now, or what, and kind of wrapping things up here, what are you involved with right now, and what are some of the things that you look forward to doing in the future? What are some of the things that you hope to be able to do? Are you doing anything special right now that we can be looking forward to? Yeah,
I'm pitching a concept of the Magic Castle in the Bay Area.
Oh, wow.
So I would love to create a space for performers. It might be a hybrid space, looking into maybe it being an escape room sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
But I grew up seeing magic in very formal venues, like driving down to LA to make the pilgrimages to Magic Castle. Mm-hmm. And I would go to Warren and Annabelle's, Chicago Magic Lounge, and the Macau venue, and many other venues around the world. So that's why I've been on social media so much, because I want them to be aware of my brand. And then when people are aware of your brand, they end up buying into that. And my son doesn't get that. He's like, why are you on social media? I'm like, I'm trying to be a celebrity enough to sell tickets so that people are aware of what's coming up. And
that's not what I'm seeing when I see you scrolling through. No, you look like just another teenager at school. Sorry, Dan. Sorry.
You have to see what addicts them in order to sell that drug, James.
Yeah. And do you and right now, are you still doing like Zoom shows as well, like you did during the pandemic, or has that kind of gone away and you're doing more in-person events right now?
Yeah, we just ended up booking one more Zoom event, and I want to keep one in the pipeline all the time, whether it's ticketed or something, because it justifies keeping the studio still open. My studio is actually in my kitchen. Okay. So it's like being walled off.
Yeah.
And it does take a little bit of effort, but if I can just, do a show for someone on the East Coast and kind of collect some moolah while in and out real quick, customers don't know what they want until you show it to them. So it might have to be more press, or it might have to be lower price point to kind of get them in on that gateway drug of Zoom magic.
So before you go, let me ask you, I asked James this, but before you go, what's a place that you enjoy in Fremont, or something that you enjoy doing in Fremont?
I love Rita's. Rita's is really good.
Oh yeah.
There's also some small things in Fremont that we enjoy, the hiking and relatives, like within the news, there's a lot of Asian hate, and in Fremont, it's a lot safer than in San Francisco. So
it's a really diverse community here.
Yeah, that's great. James, Dan, thank you so much for joining me. I love this. This is a pleasure to meet you guys, and I look forward to following you guys more and seeing what all you have up your sleeve, and you'll be able to that you can share with the rest of the Fremont community and beyond. This has been really, really great.
You've been listening to the Fremont Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. And if you're so inclined, leave a kind review so that others can find the podcast. To stay connected with us, you can find links to our social media and other content at thefremontpodcast.com. This episode was hosted and produced by Ricky B., music provided through soundstripe.com. I'm Gary Williams. Join us next week on the Fremont Podcast.
This is Muggins Media.